suggested yesterday he would be open to healthcare talks with Democrats to end the shutdown. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas, serves on the Oversight Committee. She joins me now. Congresswoman, we've seen a bunch of indicators over the last 24 hours, from Trump saying it publicly to Marjorie Taylor Greene's post to a piece in the Wall Street Journal and even something in the Politico now, that there are rumbles within the Republican Party that want to try to come to some deal on the subsidies. Are you hearing anything like that yourself?
Not necessarily, and I just talked to one of my Republican colleagues about 30 minutes ago because I was trying to find out if we were actually going to go back into session next week as my staff is trying to plan what's going on. But I can tell you, we actually discussed that Marjorie was flipping on this because it seems like everything that is important, this child ain't read the bill and has no idea of what's going on. I don't understand why Georgia keeps sending her to D.C., but this is not the first time that she wasn't quite clear.
She opens the talk with confidence and dives into the healthcare mess she sees politicians pretending to care when the cameras roll. She knows some are just following headlines, not the hardships. She watches the back and forth like a game with real people losing. She reminds viewers that policy is not a meme, but a mirror. She says leadership means thinking beyond your own paycheck. She calls out those who discover compassion only when affected. She paints the scene as chaos disguised as strategy. She reminds the audience that bills and budgets touch lives. She keeps the fire steady while calling for real representation
on what damage it was that her party was ushering in. But listen, I will take her seeing the light at any point in time. And so, yeah, it's sad that she can only see the light when it directly impacts her because she is elected to represent almost 1 million people. And so not listening to your constituents as they're calling and they're talking about their struggles, but then making it about your children, your adult children, because their premiums are going to go up. Listen, I'll take a yes vote or somebody coming to the table whatever way I can get it, but I just don't believe that that's how government is supposed to work. I don't have any children. When I am governing for the people that elected me, and I don't think that I should be looking at it and thinking, well, because this personally is going to impact me, then maybe I should flip how I feel about it.
Yeah, I should note also in that statement, in all fairness, she did talk about the people in her district who are facing the same. One of the issues right now is that you guys are, when you were saying you're asking about next week, so the House is out.
She laughs at how one lawmaker flips like a light switch. She points to the reading gap where bills meet ignorance. She questions why voters reward drama with another term. She insists governing is about duty, not mood swings. She accepts late honesty if it means progress for people she shares, that she has no kids, but governs. Like she has millions. She turns personal attacks into lessons on responsibility. She shows strength in calling out self-interest as weakness. She makes politics sound like a classroom where truth is homework. She ends by saying governing should never be personal gain.
And it was supposed to come back next week. Now it's not coming back next week. What has been communicated about how long the House is going to be out? It seems like the idea is that you don't come back before the shutdown ends, which seems difficult to do if you want to actually negotiate some end to the shutdown.
Yeah, that was my question, because I said, is it that we're not going to go back until and unless the Senate passes the House's version? Because what if the Senate actually does come to some sort of an agreement, right, and the Senate passes a version, then we need to come back. So that particular member did not know, but his stance was that he was like, aren't the Dems going to cave? So, right, I don't know. I don't work in the Senate, you know what I mean? But I haven't heard anything about any caving going on. And I think this issue is just too important.
She shifts focus back to citizens who are calling nonstop. She rejects the idea that empathy must wait for personal pain. She says true service means standing even when it costs votes. She sees premiums rising and hearts breaking. At the same time, she calls Democrats steady in defense of health. For all, she reminds us that every past attack on care failed badly. She sees people waking up and understanding policy. Now she connects the dots between action and consequence. She gives power back to those watching and paying attention. She says this moment decides who actually fights for them.
And, this is actually a really ripe time to have these conversations, because one of the reasons I'm sure that Rep. Green knows that the premiums are going to double is because this is when people are actually going through the renewal process, right?
Yep.
Like this is when most people are signing up for their plans. And so now they are seeing in real time what the estimated cost is going to be. So I do think that is a fight worth waging, because it's not just about Rep. Green's children. It's about everybody's children. It's about everybody's grandparents as well. And so I think that the Democrats, again, are on the right side of history. And every single time the Republicans have tried to, in some way, get rid of the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare or the marketplace, it has really backfired in the most bipartisan way. And so now that the American people are paying attention and they understand why this standoff is taking place, I'm pretty confident that the American people are standing with the Democrats as it relates to what it is that we're fighting for in this moment.
She questions why the House packs up while people panic. She exposes how delay becomes a shield for inaction. She paints the shutdown as a puzzle with missing pieces. She reminds leaders that recess is not a reward for failure. She says 12 bills waiting mean 12 jobs undone. She wants work before words and progress before posing. She sees hypocrisy in collecting pay during a crisis. She urges lawmakers to earn their title with sweat, not slogans. She says every hour. A way costs someone real money. She keeps the pressure high till someone moves forward.
Quickly, last question for you. Earlier today, Mike Johnson said he would swear in Adelita Grijalva whenever she wants. That was his words, as soon as she wants. And then a few hours later, his office put out a statement saying he's not planning to allow Democrats' newest member to be sworn in until her party agrees to end the government shutdown. One seems to have nothing to do with the other. Like, he could swear her in. They've sworn in Republican members. Do you think this really is about signatures on that discharge petition, the Epstein files?
This is absolutely about Epstein. This is absolutely about Epstein and not wanting to take that vote. It was my opinion that the White House was going to work on getting some of the Republicans off of the discharge. We only have 4. But, another thing about this is that we could be working, Chris. We could be passing actual appropriations bills. The reason that we need a CR is because we've not passed the 12 appropriations bills. So we could come back and do some work, considering the fact that we are getting paid, so that, you know what? They can go ahead and send it to the Senate, and then they don't have to worry about a stopgap. Instead, they would actually have done their jobs.
She laughs at the swearing in scandal that smells like power games. She connects signatures to secrets and silence to strategy. She says blocking a member means blocking a million voices. She calls it a chess match with justice. As the prize she wants transparency to replace procedural theater, she calls the discharge petition. The real story behind the noise, she reminds everyone that accountability is not partisan. She points out how process becomes a weapon when unchecked. She urges the public to look past speeches and see patterns. She ends strong demanding leaders finally do their jobs.